details
Okay.
of what each ad hoc will be related to. Funding opportunities. I'm wondering, I feel like funding opportunities have created their primary, they've completed the primary task at hand in terms of the adding information to the website and identifying processes. I don't know if we need to continue an ad hoc for this, or if it would be sufficient to move this to a 1 or 2 person liaison role. And then when we get to that, we can talk about what we have a liaison role that's associated with funding partners. So maybe it's a 2-person, it becomes a 1 or 2 person liaison role that's funding partners and opportunities or the funding or something. And do you have thoughts on whether you think that should be continuing as an ad hoc or a 1 or 2 person liaison?
Well, I actually think it could go either way, because we did do the things that we set out to do in terms of setting up a process or processes for the city in terms of enjoying catalog and the website. But the one piece that's missing is anything to do about grants and how we would organize a process where the city could take advantage of potential grants. And there's the 2 pieces to it. It takes a lot of energy to do a grant. It takes a lot of energy to monitor the grant and to report on it. But there are a number of grants available that I think we could qualify for. So I don't want to lose that part. That was a big part of our work plan last year. We didn't necessarily do much on it, but so it's not very conclusive, sorry.
Yeah, I get one way to think about it is, do we think that we would come up with a work plan item associated with grants that's prioritized and achievable this year?
I think maybe we should do that, and then we could either stop talking about it and say, we're incapable of doing a grant process, and so let's not talk about it anymore, or we could move forward with a prescription for grant programs.
Can we get staff's opinion on what that, how beneficial that would be, or something that be handled on a staff level?
Do you have resources to support something that should be accomplishable?
Yeah, I can share a little bit about the process right now. So how the city becomes aware of different grants. We've got people on the lookout for them all the time, including our very helpful commissioner site. Frequently get FYI, there's a great one that might be applicable to skate park or gyms or buying parkland, that kind of thing. And we have different resources in the city that are also tracking those grants, and they share them with the relevant departments. So awareness is one that I think we're pretty good on, maybe not great, but pretty good. The second is capacity to apply for them. The way it works right now is we're incredibly selective. Like there's a project that's 99% going to happen. Let's pursue grant funding for that. Meaning I'm not chasing one that'd be nice to have, but we're going to do that project. Council gave me direction, ready to go. The most recent example was the eucalyptus tree removal. I got direction from council to do that. I applied for a grant from CAL FIRE. We were very competitive. We did not get selected. We're doing another grant for same project through a different agency right now. But it's just a handful in my time with the city, excuse me, that I've done that with. So we're not doing enough, I think, is part of the answer. The real key to your question is, do we have capacity to go after more? I think so, not a ton, but I think we could. And would it be helpful if we had an ad hoc and staff work on it? Probably. I think, to be honest, that's kind of a little prod for staff to work on things that are really important, but maybe it's a stretch and hard to accomplish. I'm hemming and hawing a little bit, but yeah, I think in general, I think it's good.
Would this be more appropriate to develop as a liaison role first?
I think so. Yeah.
I would love to see it for next year develop as an ad hoc, to see if an ad hoc could put some work into it, just to define sort of a process and that kind of thing, and then maybe have one staff member drop in and out of the whole thing, because occasionally a grant comes along that you can make a program for. So there's the flipping that on its other side as well. And we've talked about it for a long time, and I feel like we haven't taken, the commission hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity, so I feel like we could do it one more year and see if it works, and if it doesn't work, well, that's, we can get rid of it.
Yeah.
So-
Just adding to that, something that we haven't talked about in the past, but our partner groups are often grant applicants. And they partner with us in terms of, hey, Dan, would you write a letter saying you support this? So grassroots ecology applies for many grants for restoration projects, that kind of thing. And we're helping in regards to getting planning approval and letters of rec, that kind of stuff. Maybe we tie in that too. Yeah.
The nonprofit that I work for, we are often asked to write letters of recommendations or for grants, usually state grants for cities or other agencies like the water district. And I would say I send about 2 or 3 of those a month, like a lot of them. And in Palo Alto, you know, occasionally there were projects that asked for it. We don't always write them, but there was the horizontal levy as an example. I think we ended up not writing that one, but the public works seems to be aware of a lot of grants and they actually apply for little grants. And so I would want to see the city, and I'm not volunteering for any advocacy on this, but look for grants for restoration that are not completely depending on the priorities of the nonprofits partners. And that may be for trees, it's maybe for an urban forest, it may be for restoration projects in the Baylands that are much bigger than the capacity of either Save the Bay or Grassroots Ecology. They're public works projects and they have to come together with the city parks and.
So I think we're getting a bit in the weeds as far as trying to establish whether we treat this as an ad hoc. I do have a question in terms of what a achievable task for the ad hoc would be in a work plan. Or would a liaison will be more appropriate for that? I don't know if we want to try and answer that before we move on or not.
I'm open. I think the key ones would be identify criteria the city can support, meaning if there's matching funds that the city has funds available, or are we strictly chasing grants that don't have matching fund requirements, and then staff support ongoing through the duration of the project. Those would be some of the key criteria that we'd have to have in my mind.
Excuse me, Javad, would you be able to take down some notes on this? Just to have separately that we'll be able to feed back into a work plan discussion.
You want me to share the screen?
No, I want to just take notes on the side.
Well, I think it would be a lot more fun to work on this as a 3-person ad hoc that would have it be a liaison.
So it could be a 2-person. I hear what you're saying. Look,
I could volunteer if necessary. Yeah. I've done nonprofit with grants, but not really writing grants, but aware what's available and
okay.
process.
Let's look at it as a kind of a park dedication. We completed our work on recommendation regarding Baylands Measure East site. We have a Bureau Park easement to follow up on. Just a small parcel that will be added to parkland. And there was directive from city council to move forward with a more general site review for considering potential land for park dedication. That was during the discussion of the Measure East site item at city council. I don't know that we have a specific directive regarding Measure E for this coming year. I don't think that's something that would be included in our work plan. I think that the city needs to do some further analysis before that becomes a consideration. So I think this is appropriate to continue to keep as an ad hoc. It could be a 2-person ad hoc. Potentially. Any comments? Racket court policy. We made a big, a significant policy update this past year. I'm wondering if this is something that could be moved to a liaison rule for monitor.
I don't think so. I think we still are going to look at a lot of discussion between tennis and pickleball as it should be. And I think that there are some issues that need to be looked at in terms of the tennis courts. And I also think that that ad hoc could work on the tennis lighting situation to increase the number of playable hours.
And evaluation as to what's not,
Oh, and the committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and whether or not there's any additional locations that could be
Mhm.
considered for that purpose.
Okay,
Convinced you.
so there's not necessarily.
Let's try.
What I'm concerned about is what we're gonna end up with, the number of ad hocs.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, recreation projects, the advice from staff was that and so in the past, recreation projects was potentially encompassing 4 different pillars. Skate park, gym wellness center, first tee, golf program, and the development of 10.5 acres of Baylands. The sense from staff is that the first 2 projects, the skate park and the gym wellness center, have progressed to the point where they're worthy of each having their own ad hoc. And that the other 2 items, that the first tee could be folded into the golf liaison role,
Mhm.
and that we can add a 10.5 acres liaison if anything happens on that. And anyone's thoughts on creating separate ad hocs for the wellness center, gym, and skate park here?
I spoke just a little bit earlier, maybe Commissioner Cripps, you'd rather talk about it, but
No, but go ahead.
yeah, we were just speaking with the current ad hoc about maybe the skate park would be a liaison,
Mhm.
given its current status. Wellness center certainly seems applicable for an ad hoc to me, and then I agree that 10.5 would be a good liaison in case we make a headway there.
Okay. So you agree with that, Ann?
The 10.5 needs to go together with the mitigation in the golf course. And it's not really about the sport of the golf course or the youth programs, it's about the parts that are not complete.
Why would you not look at it as being sort of a separate ad hoc in itself? Because by making it that way, it becomes, I think, a lot broader. Because you're not locking it into anything specific.
A liaison doesn't lock, I'm not sure.
Well, I think there may be 2 different roles. One, it's. I don't know how likely it is there's going to be any action on 10.5 acres in next year. But the thought is that that's really the person that's monitoring and working with groups that are potentially looking to bring forward a development plan for the area. And I know there's opinions on developing the area versus preserving the area and impacts for development. But that's generally what the role of the 10.5 is.
So the surveys that were done in the past related to that. And, pretty much. More than one outcome that people wanted to see.
Okay, I'm gonna
I'm
table.
not sure how to deal with that one.
I'm gonna table this for now as we're focusing on ad hocs first. And so we will move away from we'll set up a gym wellness center ad hoc, and other roles will go to be as somewhat TBD.
Well, we did have a chance to talk about this before. Sorry, I couldn't connect with you, but we talked a little bit, Nelson and I, in general, about a liaison role for the gym wellness center rather than an ad hoc role, because then the liaison would have a reporting function back from the friends of the center, which has already been developed. And then we wouldn't necessarily need to have the ad hoc continue to meet. We felt like that
Yeah.
maybe made more sense, that it would be like the aquatics liaison. Or like another kind of place, so I don't know how you feel about that.
And I think you would look at it as you would any other friends group. That the groundswell or the initiative starts from the friends level, and so. The PRC would be more or less on with that, more so than. Participating as an ad hoc. I mean, because it's already, like you said, it's already a work in progress. So, and as it is with the skate park, so it's sort of falls under the same umbrella.
So it'd be like, it would be like the Recreation Foundation, maybe, but either way. So. Just a thought.
Other people's thoughts?
There.
The people that would make it, the ad hoc is asking for it. I'm like, who else would be on that? I don't know. So I go for it.
I was going to say that as well. I think I go with, whatever the previous ad hoc
So,
comments.
so would you have any comments, man?
I just, I mean, if the liaison has specific. If for this project, there are specific achievable goals that we need to accomplish this year, then it does make more sense than ad hoc, and we should. Kind of keep it in that role, just for transparency and, so that there can be. We can make sure that the number of ad hocs also correlates with the availability of staff time, but if it really is just. Connecting with the friends group, then I agree, it makes more sense as a liaison role, but, I guess. I am unclear of like everything was accomplished that needs to be sort of work plan wise done. And or if there was another year of outreach or things outside of liaising with the friends group that needed to be done. So I don't know the answer to that.
Maybe I could share just a little
Yeah.
from the staff perspective. Kristen O'Kane, the director of CSD, and I are eager to start helping and help guide the way in partnership with Friends Group to say, here's the roadmap we kind of envision for this process to the city. Certain amount of outreach consistent with city policies and practices. Just our normal methodology when we add something like this, the amount of outreach and the process we go through. And Chris and I were hoping to lay that out, but we haven't had time. We had hoped to have that already, and we're behind schedule. And I apologize to the ad hoc for that. Kristen explained at the last check-in we had with the ad hoc that we're targeting mid-June for freeing up time to help do that effort. When we get to that point, I could see an ad hoc being helpful. I certainly respect and understand the current ad hoc's perspective that maybe a liaison would be more appropriate. I think we'd know more come June.
Well,
So I'm not sure what to say.
just to be consistent, maybe then we keep the ad hoc for now. And relook at it. We could always change it. I don't think it's a big deal to change from an ad hoc to a liaison. Maybe should be.
Well, I think if we create an ad hoc, we should create a work plan associated with it. I on a higher level, a primary goal in the master plan is to create a gym, medical wellness center. And so, question I have in terms of, is this an ad hoc or a liaison role? What role does the commission, do we foresee the commission playing in this planning process in the coming year in terms of actions and recommendations that would come before the commission and actions and definable work plan tasks that will be on the plate of the commission?
The site, potentially.
The site is, I mean, to me, it seems like there is enough that's not determined that there should be commission and community input unless the plans from the Friends group and the group developing the project, unless they need more time to define things before getting public and commission input. But that wasn't my sense.
I would suggest they would follow typical stuff that we do for large scale improvements like the JMZ, where we have multiple check-ins, especially if we're targeting parkland. So you can count on the fact there's going to be a park improvement ordinance, regular reviews, possibility of having the PRC serve as a public community check-in point, as we get to different nuances and levels of review. So I think those things are what I would foresee the PRC's role in this. Just like we would with any large scale.
So following more of the JMC model.
That's what I kind of envision. I mean, from the SAC perspective, how we want to utilize the PRC is exactly that. So we build support from the community as we go. Is the spot right? Have you done enough community outreach? And we have the soundboard of the PRC to help inform those. Are we making the right choices? The amenities included, are they right? Just keep checking in and getting approvals, recommendations as we go is how I would.
Is that how the JMC?
Yeah, it's a little different than the JMZ's, not in a park, but yeah, there were check-ins on the JMC too, but. That's how I was thinking of it, but as I said, Kristen and I still need to do a planning endeavor and I was hoping to work with our existing ad hoc and kind of talk that through and figure it out, just to get there in time.
If it's related to a park site, that seems pretty core for the Parks Commission to be directly involved with.
It's in the Parks Master Plan.
Definitely is there.
Yeah.
We want to get this done.
I think that once there's. It seems like there should be an ad hoc involved until council has approved the plan, and then it goes into more. Of a applying. But that's my thoughts, but.
We could check in with Greer too, see what he thinks.
Right.
Monitoring.
So for the moment. I like your idea of keeping it as an ad hoc for now.
Yeah.
And later. I guess we need to decide between now and. Our next meeting at the end of May, when we just establish our work plan, if we're going to create a work plan. And I don't know if that. Yeah, it sounds like we might not have more staff input before then.
No, they know what they have to, they know what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen until after that June date.
Yeah, maybe I can just ask the department head what her thoughts are on this prior to, I can certainly do that prior to our May meeting and get her perspective.
Okay,
Ad hoc versus this.
all right. Urban forestry, I think we need to keep an ad hoc focused on. The tree ordinance update, implementation of tree ordinance update. And communication and outreach. That's potentially a 2-person ad hoc. Or 3. The website refresh, I think certainly those 2 liaison role. Liaison role before. So we're not gonna end up with a skate park. It's gonna be the center gym. Rocket port policy will continue. Funding opportunities will continue. Change the CIP review to be a master plan review.
You want to change it to grant funding
Yes.
opportunities, given that.
Yes. Grant opportunities.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And rocket port policy, we got some definition on. That in addition to that, I've spoken with Darren and Nellis about creating a playing field policy and projects. We take on a number of tasks. One, it would be working on, working with staff to help identify the best methodology for replacing turf fields. We have, it will be in the next two capital budgets this coming year at El Camino Park in the following year. We had some problems, so I think that's some more eyes could be helpful to assist staff on this. Also, we haven't reviewed the policy considerations for the fields and field programming. Here's what would be great to have Adam Howard joining us to get his input. But a few things that have come to mind is the process for releasing fields. The reservation process works pretty well, but the process clubs can reserve fields and release them at a late date, such that it's hard for others to take advantage of them. Also, an example is a couple weeks ago, I was refereeing soccer games for the Palo Alto based soccer club, and their home game is at Skyline College, because they didn't have a field available here. But there may or may not have been a field available depending on if it was produced. But that suggests that the need to look at that. If we have a bunch of people driving an extra 30 miles, that becomes an environmental issue as well as simply a field issue. So I think it'd be good to check in with all of the clubs and review things, and even things as simple as at Mayfield. It'd be great to get a new water fountain that refill water bottle with proper water pressure, and also to fill up water bottles. That's maybe something that we can reach out to funding groups for to purchase. So that's a variety of ideas. So I think that's one or two, or at least two person ad hoc that would be appropriate. And I've heard a lot of input and interest from a number of commissioners about something more directly involved with recreation programs. Reviewing what we have, identifying gaps, coming up with new programs, looking at the demographics. I think there's a great need for this. I'm not clear how to exactly how to proceed with this. I'm clear vision, interested in people's input, but given the master plan review that we're planning to do, how can we create an ad hoc is it possible to create an ad hoc to take on some task now that wouldn't be overlapping with the master plan review, or we would be more of the phase 2 of the master plan review as we were outlining some of the tasks. It may well be possible. So I'm interested in commission members talking about their particular interest in a recreation program ad hoc. What you'd like to do, and we can work to see how that becomes an ad hoc and how it fits in conjunction with master plan review.
So I got a lot of feedbacks from fellow parents of the oversubscription enjoy catalog, both for their kids and some for themselves, like adults trying to get to class for tennis. So is there enough scope or manpower to look into just the review of the enjoy catalog, identify gaps, and maybe expanding classes to just I don't know whether it's growing community or whether it's different demographic as well.
Yeah, my perspective is that's a great thing to work on. The overlap with the master plan is an interesting one, because that kind of programming is in the master plan. And how do we have 3 commissioners there and 3 on that where we're not overlapping? I was almost thinking out loud, I haven't fully digested this, but it seems like there could be a good handoff if the Parks Master Plan folks had to analyze things. They sort of package up their findings and interests and things that need to be examined in greater detail on the programming effort, and then pass it on to a separate ad hoc who took that and ran with it in greater detail, maybe. Not sure.
What's the timeline looking like for the master plan reviewing? I'm trying to think in both that you're saying as well. Seem to be a huge urgency. It's like at least more than 5 people telling me about, because when our family were growing, it was so easy, just subscribe before the, local residence time is running out, but I was told now you have to sit in front of your laptop by 8 o'clock, 5 minutes, everything's gone. I'm like, what?
Yeah, so a lot of that would be, is it based on availability of spaces? Just, people that will be conducting those.
Yeah,
So there's probably a number of things that have to be looked at, and how, if it's a space issue. You have limited amount of space to host programs, right? If it's a resource issue, you could probably find resources, whether it be volunteers, so forth, but it's a lot more difficult to find physical space.
yeah, I really appreciate that thought, because I was wondering what is at stake here, whether it's not enough classes or whether it's not enough space for the class.
But the other side of that would be, does anyone really spend the time to try and figure out, are there creative ways in which to find additional space where, schools that are not being used, at religious organizations or whatever that have space, and maybe that says that an ad hoc would be helpful in trying to help staff find the additional resources, whether it be physical people or physical spaces themselves.
Yeah, and also democratic, sort of expanding children from sort of Asian American community perspective, and then also whole community wellness after COVID. So there are a lot of people talk about meditation class in the park or ping pong class, etc. It would be as a sort of wellness practice.
Sorry.
How do we compare to other cities in terms of offering? Maybe if we had more types of programs, then that would feel some of the pressure on. I don't know how we compare to Cupertino or Mountain View or other cities in the area, but maybe they have programming of types that we don't, and we can. And I hope can look into that and see if there's more opportunities to offer more.
I also
variety.
think Palo was different than Cupertino, so I think that's where the master plan review is taking a holistic look at this guiding document and what's changed and doing the community outreach that would, because we're hearing hearsay of, oh, there's not enough space, we don't have enough staff, maybe we need more offerings, but it's all just hearsay, and I don't think that we should discount that at all. I think we should absorb all of that information as it's coming in.
Yeah.
But the master plan review, I think, would provide a good forum to look at it holistically, do the outreach, get this information, and then do the handoff. I sort of see it as like, this is sort of like our general plan guiding document, and the enjoy catalog is more like a zoning ordinance or like a building code. So those things get updated regularly, more regularly than the general plan guiding document. So it's not like we couldn't do updates to the enjoy catalog or say, we heard a great deal of community feedback to offer this class, or we need to find more coaches or space. Those updates continue to be made as the master plan ad hoc is doing their work. But that could be a potential evolution, maybe next year or the year after, depending on how fast the master plan review ad hoc can work, to continue that work and really bring it to the doorsteps of everybody in the catalog.
Yeah.
But that's just my thought.
Yeah, I do agree. One is more macro, one is more micro level, but it's just a concern of time sensitivity, and also in neighboring cities you talk about. I heard people from, Los Altos and Mountain View, they used to be able to get 10 classes, all more equity issues, Hispanic group in Redwood City, and no longer they can subscribe or even classes. So, and this is a question: do we do annual review or survey with the residents to see where's their pain points, where's the demands, and where's the the happy sweet sort of points?
There's some review associated with the joint catalog programs after taking a course.
And general questions in the citizen survey that
Yeah.
are satisfactions with recreation program, parks, etc. That I don't know if it gets quite granular to your points, though. I don't know if it gets all the way there.
Yeah.
In getting that feedback.
Joy, you want to say something?
Yeah, so speaking as a parent, I had, it was impossible to get into any of the programs.
Yeah,
Especially for summer, and Lam and I were talking about it before we started this. And I'm just wondering if we could also explore opportunities, because the pricing too is high. So I was wondering if we could explore opportunities with, non-profit organizations and for-profit organizations who want to do, maybe corporate sustainability, mentorship programs with seniors. So I feel like there's a gap there. It's not just the availability, but also, extending it so that more people who can afford, the pricing that we currently offer to be able to also have an opportunity to do something as well.
Yeah.
For example, I have a son who is 13 and I want him to start to learn life skills. I don't see a lot of that there, so I feel like there's a gap there that we need to also attend to. Apart from entrepreneurship, money, and things like that, they usually might not learn in the four walls of the classroom. So
yeah. I see similar complaints.
So we know at the higher level, we need to get started with a master plan review and we talked about how it doesn't really make sense to dive in to a lot of the details initially, but I'm wondering if reviewing the Enjoy catalog program, if there is some level of review of Enjoy program, Enjoy program courses that could be done in parallel, that would provide useful data to the master plan as hoc, that wouldn't be wasting time. How can we define a scope of a review that would be consistent with a master plan? As I mentioned, when you talk about a master plan review, the first thing that comes to mind is reviewing all the programs. And the class offerings and things like that. So it's something we obviously know that we're gonna want to do.
Right.
How do we make sure that whatever comes out of this ad hoc effort is going to be useful for us and not duplicitous and not a bad use of staff resources as well?
Yeah, I love the parallel sort of approach because Enjoy program can be a support of the master plan review and also the time sensitivity, like what you just said. I heard quite a lot of that. It's really the funding opportunity could be a donation from other people instead of just hard money. It could be a kind of donation, like people willing to teach classes for free. That might be something like skills, mentorship, and then coming back to your recruitment for all the coaches hourly basis. Is sort of all hand in hand, right?
Instead of
Yeah.
instead of being parallel, can it be the master plan ad hoc addressing that first instead of having two different groups? Could it be
As a top
yes,
priority?
yes.
Yeah, it could be one group. Yeah, that's true.
So the way that I
Efficient.
envision and outline the priorities for the master plan ad hoc, I saw the specific reviews of programs like we're talking about to be more of a secondary priority. I think the first step needs to be to take a look at the master plan and take a holistic view of it and understand what we're doing well and how do we need to consider, what do we need to consider changing. Take a look at the other plan. Take a look at the action plan.
Yeah.
This is, how do we leverage the resources of this? Do we want to do a full scale adoption of working with an updated action plan, or do we want to take a lot of the good work out of the action plan and use it in a different way? And how do we identify what the tasks are for doing a proper review of that?
From more macro level.
Yeah. So that's the top priority. But if we kept a review of the current programming in the Enjoy catalog more objective, getting in terms of surveying and summarizing what we currently have in place, and then also starting work to identify gaps. But that's less objective and might need more guidance from the master plan group. But it seems like there would be something to start with, and maybe the way to start is some of the initial meetings of the master plan ad hoc could be to work to develop a framework to hand off to a group to do the Enjoy catalog review and anything else associated with that. Andy, your thoughts on that?
No, I was waiting for another time to speak about the gender equity survey plan that I would like to see us continue to bring from either recreational opportunities or in this particular thing, because you all know it's been 51 years since Title IX passed, and we're not so sure that we're treating girls programs the same as we're treating boys programs. And we may be treating more girls programs than boys programs, and whether we're allocating space in the proper appropriate way. And there are people who do that kind of thing for a living, and so it may be a matter of money, Darren. Not a lot, but there's good people around who do that kind of thing, and I think it's really important for us to do. So I didn't have another thought. Sorry.
Andy?
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial to take a look at, I just worry that by having sort of an objective, narrow focus, that we're missing out on the whole picture. So by looking at just the Enjoy catalog and the demand, you're not seeing, oh, well, this private provider already offers it in the community. I'm thinking that the master plan review would be more comprehensive and be able to look at all of those things, whereas just looking at the catalog in isolation, I just worry that things are gonna fall through the cracks. We're not gonna get the whole picture, but and how those groups interact with each other. I'm just struggling to get my mind around it, but I like the idea of them both existing and working together, but I just don't know Brown Act and everything, how that looks, so.
They can have special meetings if we have to, so then they can go notify that there can be more people. I'm looking at the goals, and I know that the master plan developed based on those goals. But that was a while ago, and things have changed, and we know that the community has changed. And post-COVID, a lot of things changed for people individually and socially as groups. And when I look at that, it says develop innovative program services and strategies for expanding the system. That cannot be static. That has to be expanding the system. It has to look forward. If the best way is to first look at the plan for the implementation plans for this, and then move forward with more specific potential expansions, or do them in parallel, I'm not sure. The other goal that I am very interested in, and I know there's a lot of stuff that's been done on this, but it's never been put together in a way that is easy for me to follow, is preserve and integrate nature, natural systems and ecological principles throughout Palo Alto. So this is not only talking about nature preserve, it's looking to throughout Palo Alto, and there are ideas of pollinator pathways in the plan, which actually say, let's do them, and other things that haven't been implemented. I know that staff is working more towards planting native plants only in parks, and that's huge progress, but there is a lot more that can be done. So I'd like to explore this goal and where are we? And I don't know that the implementation plan has enough detail on that, because they never really identify specifics of how to do this, because it's not easy, and it's not something that staff usually does, like integrate this throughout the city. How do you approach that? I would like to see some progress, even if it's only like figuring out what's being done already.
Do you have a project to suggest? Or where are you trying to do this?
I would look at things that have to do with planting pallets for parks. I would look at maintenance. How much do plants have to be square? I mean, who makes square plants and why, unless they're invading? Things like that. I want to look at maintenance. I want to look at planting pallet. I would like to look at, can we create pollinator corridors? And that may involve the community, and go to my street and tell people, hey, if you put a few milkweeds in every yard, we may have monarch butterflies here. I've seen it work at Google where they did it, and it's just a few plants here and there. I would like to see this come to life. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that staff does. We just don't have like a comprehensive view of what stuff does.
So do you envision a ad hoc for this and a work plan item associated with this?
Are
Potentially,
you pulling this from the master plan?
Yeah.
So I imagine that sort of would come out of the master plan review, because we're looking at that implementation spreadsheet and checking to see were there actual implementation steps to address that goal, and whether or not they were done, whether or not they were sufficient or need to be updated, and then going and circling back with staff for each of the implementation line items. There's probably an associated sort of work plan for staff. You could see the columns with the sort of staff time, budget and details, and working with staff. To pull out one line of that spreadsheet from, and
there aren't, that's the thing, there are very few
I don't.
implementation
Chance
guidelines
to
for
look at
this
the whole
specific
spreadsheet.
goal.
At this point.
Yeah, so I kind of agree that I think this is something that falls out of the master plan review. I think the answer to the question you're talking about right now is, if it doesn't exist, that's something that could be added into the action plan.
Yeah.
That's something specifics. And so I think I see this as kind of a combination of phase 2 and phase 3 master plan review. And I know this is something you want to jump on right away, and it's a priority. I'm hoping that phase 1 of the master plan review can be completed this calendar year. And then we look at phase 2 as part of this year as well. And maybe when we develop our work plan, we identify tasks associated with phase 1, and then add to our work plan with tasks associated with phase 2 after these tasks are better identified, which is part of phase 1.
Yes, so I was still trying to go back to what you said about parallel reviewing both master plan and expanding the thoughts of enjoy catalog to be more integrated way, say. So I'm not really wanting to overstepping toes, but at the same time, say urban forestry, whether there's a tree planting program, which could be integrated into enjoy program. It can be offering, free classes, how to plant trees for middle schoolers, high schoolers. It could be a free class, whoever is passionate. And the biodiversity in our community gardens, the free classes offering how to, put the seeds into foreseeable future for your backyards and to make collateral greener. So it could be integrated process between the enjoy catalog, expanding the enjoy catalog to be more aligned with the master plan, and expanding that on that level with the priority which is set, like.
But I
Else
think
and
again, circling back, and we needed to go through the higher level master plan review and then set a framework for that.
Yeah,
I think we all agree that an update for the review of the enjoy catalogs can be part of the master plan review.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
Yeah.
question is, can we jump forward? What can we get started with right now, as opposed to waiting till next calendar year to start potentially? And maybe another way of looking at things is looking at, well, at the ad hocs, we need to start to find getting a little closer to getting results we're aiming for in terms of getting our ad hoc and liaison rules defined and assigned. Right now, we have potentially 8 ad hocs. 9 ad hocs, which I'll go out on a limb and say is too many for the staff to support it, let alone for the commission to support. So we're,
Yeah.
Did 8 last year.
we had 8. One was the liaison, or one was a website refresh. Maybe we need to consider what the top priority ad hocs are. And also consider
Mention
what,
consolidation, yeah.
well, not just consolidation, but
So
we
just.
we could consider, how the staff impact on a 1 to 5. I had added columns so we could mark it, we could mark out how each of the particular tasks, items apply to the different priorities. I don't think we're gonna have time to get through that. I'd also see these are kind of our priorities. I think we go out on a limb a little, but I think we. I think we're probably comfortable that all of these projects that we're talking about touch on the priorities, that fall under the priorities that we've listed. If we had more time to go through an exercise and take that off, but I think maybe we don't have that, and then we'll also potentially go through and identify which ones are associated with open space, parks and recreation. But I think we've got coverage on that as well. So maybe let's look at what let's rate the staff impact, 1 to 5. 5 can be a highest impact in terms of staff.
I have a quick question.
Yes,
With regards to the projects that Darren shared earlier, how does that play into? The
yes,
ad hoc?
that's a good question. There are the projects, so I think all of those projects are covered either by ad hocs or by liaison goals. And I did review that, Darren. I don't know if there's any, and we can take a quick look at the liaison goals here if you want as well, before trying to finalize.
So the ad hoc, for master plan review, does each say, this is a question, say 3 people is on that review? Do 3 people have their own focus? Just asking.
In general, 3 people are working together.
Okay.
Yeah, we're working on
With stuff.
with staff. And I would see that the master plan ad hoc would be something that would be reporting back to the commission every 2 or 3 months.
Okay,
Even if it were a short agenda item,
right.
so that we can get regular feedback from the full commission on us, because I think that's it's important. I see that as probably an ad hoc that meets weekly.
Okay.
Following lead from the
Yes, the
recreation project.
rigorous,
So,
yeah.
to answer your question.
Do you think that the trees need an ad hoc or a liaison?
For urban forestry.
Yeah. Do we still need an ad hoc for that?
I guess it comes down to the question, is there a work plan item associated with it?
I don't know.
And I think, given our relatively new rule as the community forum for urban forestry, and the fact that it's not really matured, and given that there has been a recent update to the tree ordinance, I think it merits an ad hoc for another year or maybe 2 years, and then it could go to a liaison role. But I would suggest an ad hoc. I think there's a work plan item associated with that in terms of the specific task.
And keeping in mind that it's a temporary, you said a year or more. When will be the end results of that?
So the urban forestry ad hoc this year would be focused on the implementation of the tree ordinance updates and the community outreach and communication of these updates.
And that couldn't take place at the Mass Road.
It could, but I think it's significant enough that there should be a work plan item associated with it. And at this point, we haven't had a work plan items not associated with economics. good.
So the EBAC cannot vote into the master plan review, it should be separate.
No, that's very specific, I think.
Because there's council direction on that one.
Yeah. I heard it's very controversial.
How about row 11 folding into 12?
Well, 11. Those are totally different. I think
Playing field.
the playing field policy and projects is very specific and fairly limited. The recreation program review is broad and ambiguous to an extent. That's my thought.
They're looking for something specific to nature in that, like maintenance, park maintenance or something.
Do we normally establish the ad hoc for 1 year or half a year? It's 1 year.
It doesn't, it's for a specified period.
I would just say, just unpopular opinion, that perhaps the racket and the urban forestry could move to a liaison role. I don't think it makes them any less important or valuable by putting them there. But I think both of those ad hocs, their primary role, if we were to do the work plan, is to monitor how things are going. And I think it will be a very active liaison role, and I think it definitely warrants at least 2 liaisons for both of those. But I think those are largely staff-driven projects, and it just requires sort of regular check-ins and regular reporting. And so I would just suggest maybe moving both of those to liaison roles for this year. And then if something is to happen, we explore creating that.
Okay, so then for liaison, we're talking about urban forestry going to liaison.
And racquetball. Now, in some cities, the Parks and Rec and Urban Forest Group also look at appeals of tree removals and things like that. We don't have that role. So I think that, yeah, and unless you feel, Jeff, that there is something in the urban forest that needs a lot more work from us other than monitoring and working with stuff to make sure everything is available to the public.
No,
and clear.
I can go along with
Okay.
that. I think that's a good suggestion. So then we'd be left with 7 ad hocs that we're looking at here. We look at this as a starting point.
Well, how, it's not a request for another one, it's just a question. I would like to know what the guidelines are for maintenance in parks, right, all parks. How do I work with staff to figure it out if there is no role here at the list?
Yeah.
I think, when I see how we, our contractors do a lot of that work, for some reason they do like square plants. And it really offends me. Like, I get it when you're next to a trail, okay, you don't want the plant to grow over. But otherwise, why are you doing that? It's just, so I want to know how if there's ways that we can make the maintenance, or they vacuum everything and then they put mulch. Like, why? Why don't you just let the leaf litter accumulate, then you get butterflies and everything else? So these are things that I would like to know. How can we work with staff to find out what are the guidelines they're using and whether those can be changed a little bit?
I agree with you, actually. No, but I don't. I think it's gonna be very, I mean, we have contractors that I work with in the town that I work for, and they have a lot of staff turnover too, so they do it a different way. Sometimes it looks completely different than someone was out sick, so it's very
Yeah.
hard to manage and create standards, but, I think it could.
I've
I
seen
think
it.
an informational item or discussion for
Sometimes
us,
you need
but
to give them a handout in pictures, not even with language. And I totally understand. I work with a few big companies and they have the same issue.
Yeah.
A new person comes in, cleans everything, and oh my God, they didn't know the natives, so they remove them all.
Right.
I am totally aware of that, but there are ways to work on that, and I've been doing it for 10 years. So
So on page 95, it talks about incorporating sustainable practices in the maintenance and management of parks, open space and recreation facilities. It makes reference to the sustainability master plan. I don't know if that's, no,
they look at energy use, water use, various resources that people use, not so much that kind of thing.
I see.
The SCAP really looks at how we have to be responsible for use of resources.
Resource management,
Yeah.
not necessarily ecological protection.
Only as it relates to reduced use of water and energy and so on. For more electrification rather than gas, things like that. So potentially, what kind of, if you're gonna blow leaves, then use an electrical but you're still blowing the leaves.
Just to answer that question from the staff perspective, we're glad to have you come meet with one of the park supervisors and talk for an hour or two, explaining those things. Take a site visit, look at a few examples of where we either are pruning hedges in a very unnatural way. Typically, it's because it's adjacent to a pathway. And planted in the wrong spot, right? Wrong species, wrong spot. Doesn't fit in that planter unless it grows 3/4 of the way through a pathway. Hence, it's boxed up. We do grass cycle, we do keep leaf litter wherever we can without smothering or killing landscaping. So we do a lot of those things, but I think a walkthrough, talk through would be great. And even if it's not on the plan, we can make arrangements.
Okay, well, we can start with a couple of the smaller parks.
Sure.
Hopefully that can be somehow.
That's where.
Plants that are huge square or old plants planted between 1950 and 1980. Right. We don't plant that plant material anymore. Plant material we plant now is that grows with no maintenance. That's the.
Planning for the full height of the plant or width of the plant to stay where it's at.
So I don't even think that the maintenance contract allows them or besides shooting the plants to maintain any plants. They don't have a budget for that. They mow the grass and pick up the leaves. That's what I'm responsible.
So no equity and inclusion issues for square plants. Okay, I think more or less updated what we have here. Let me keep track of it out here.
So should I volunteer myself for the master plan review or?
We're
Do you need to-
we're gonna get to that.
I'm way ahead of. Being new.
Okay, so we have here 7 ad hocs that we talked about. And we can update the names if we want to. Recreation program review, I'm still not quite clear how that gets defined immediately, but
Just thinking out loud, and I know there's lots of different ways to do this. One way of thinking about it is it could be a liaison role. And I'm almost imagining it as they're doing the prep work for the master plan review. So they look in depth at the enjoy, come back, report it to the PRC, and basically hand a report over to the folks who are doing the master plan review. And that's one supplemental document that helps them through their evaluation. It's one way of thinking about it.
I think that's great, because I think there's probably gonna be a lot of interest in being in the master plan review ad hoc. And so this would be a good way to sort of narrow that, and even just keeping it as an ad hoc and narrowing it to enjoy catalog, and then that feeds. And maybe at a full commission meeting for that final report or periodic reports, just so that everybody has an opportunity.
Yeah,
So you're suggesting rec program review would be an ad hoc?
Would be an ad hoc, narrow focus to enjoy catalog, and then,
And expand the focus after more progress.
Yeah.
The only consideration, and I don't think this is a stopper, is it's the same staff that would be working on both those, right? A lot of rec time for the enjoy catalog, a lot of rec staff time for the master plan when we get to it. And I imagine there'll be some duplication as they work with a new set of 3 commissioners to say, okay, here's the background. Still doable, just something to think about.
I think the master plan review is going to be much more encompassing than just rec. I also think that the
Sure.
phase 1 of the master plan review will not be very rec heavy.
Yep.
Okay, so. So these are the ad hocs we're envisioning at the moment. Target number is how many people envisioning to be on each ad hoc. Master plan, 3 people, e-bike policy. 3. Grant opportunities could be 2 or 3. Park dedication could be 2 or 3. This is just what I'm coming with. If you have different feelings on this, please let me know. Wellness center, gym, 2 or 3 or 3. 3 playing fields, I think that's 2. And rec program review, probably 3. Could be 2, I guess. The 2 versus 3 kind of depends on the interest of commission members. So we're looking at then being involved with each commissioner being involved with 2 or 3 ad hocs. On liaison rules, we have just go through this. We have aquatics. Previously, we had a BCCP liaison and a Baylands Tidegate liaison. We're also talking about Baylands projects in the coming year of the entrance gate replacement, the piling repair. Not sure Tidegate's going to be that much, but it seems maybe folding this all into a single, either or into a Baylands liaison. It could be 1 or 2 people. And also, I don't know if the golf course mitigation comes under. If that falls more clearly under a golf liaison or a Baylands liaison, and that it's more of a natural environment type of a role.
The Baylands might
Yeah.
act as well as the horizontal levy.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll all be a Baylands liaison. I think this one. Community gardens liaison, Coverly. That's the first time the words been uttered.
That's gonna take on another way.
It's always the elephant in the room. We talked about this in preparing for this retreat. If something happens in Coverly, this becomes a top priority for the commission. We have no actionable work to do. We have nothing to add into the work plan at this point in time. And that could be that may change within the coming months. It may not change in the coming years.
And it's certainly a priority.
And that's certainly priority. So anyway, keeping a liaison just to track activity is appropriate.
And to go visit that place.
Yeah.
A lot, because it has such extremes, like it's so lively, it's so wonderful, and such a mess at the same time, and so dilapidated, and it would be good.
It'll make you think we don't.
Huh? Well, I'm sure you do. There are areas there inside.
It sounds like you want to be.
No. I don't, but I love that.
Do as I say, and that's it.
Just time check,
Yeah.
25.
Funding liaison should mostly that, right? Unless you got that.
Okay, so we have dog parks, we have field users goes away. We have Foothills Nature Preserve. And there's been 2 people, and there are some projects coming up in Foothills, that's scaling back from an ad hoc. And the ad hoc members are also, or the liaisons are also part of the Foothills Stakeholder Group, which meets every couple of months or so with other partner groups. Funding partners. We want to keep a funding partner. A funding partners liaison role in addition. In addition to grant opportunities, that makes sense, I think.
Because they're two
Yeah.
different
Two
things.
different things altogether. Golf liaison becomes golf first tee. Hawthorne's area planning. I expect that I will be appointed to the community input group. So that's something that's not going to happen. PAUSD city liaison, someone monitoring the city school meetings. Park amenities. Not only this includes restrooms and seating type things in amenity parks. I think it would also be appropriate to do a preliminary help staff or do a preliminary review of PIPs that are coming to the commission that aren't already associated with another liaison or ad hoc pool. So I'm primarily talking about playground improvements. Anything that's dog parks is going to be under dog parks. Anything that's restrooms would be under the park amenities. Does that sound reasonable there? Okay.
Yes.
Racket sports will now be liaison. It could be 2 people. Safe routes. I don't think safe routes. I think it's important to continue. I don't think we have a need to continue sidewalk under policy. Liaison, nothing happened the past year. Skate park I've added. Sustainability and biodiversity liaison. I'm not exactly clear what this does.
I think we can go back to sustainability on that one, if we have the best. The idea was really to look at all the parks, not only the natural parks, but I still don't see a lot of how to get there, so.
How is it different from urban forestry? That's two different things.
Urban forestry is specifically related to the urban forestry section of the public works department. It's city trees and
Yes.
public trees and private trees. Trees and plants. So the sustainability, we want to continue to have a sustainability liaison that would be a liaison for SCAP related projects and updates like sea level rise and horizontal levy. And I'm just trying to understand what the role of this is.
I don't know that goes in this, that sea level rises in the sustainability, but we can discuss that later.
Okay. Ventura, urban forestry, we've added Ventura plan. I don't think we can add it. If we need to, but it seems to be quiet. Youth council and moving the website liaison.
Do you have any like senior, any kind of senior role? I'm just wondering, like there's youth, is there any equivalent in the senior community?
Senior what, senior?
I don't know,
Senior, I
maybe you
I
haven't,
haven't needed something like that.
yeah, like someone to bring the two together.
What is safe routes? What is the
So
school?
it's
School.
It's safe routes, well, it's transportation corridors and we have there's a very successful safe routes to schools program. Part of the master plan actually our master plan includes updating it, something equivalent to safe routes for safe routes and parks.
Right,
Things like
right.
that. That's really been a contingent on transportation staff
Right.
bandwidth, which hasn't happened, but anyway, somebody can coordinate with it. The senior liaison would probably want a better name than that.
You said seniors. I was just looking to, there was a lot of people during the interviews for this talked about bringing those two together.
Yeah, cross
Right?
generation learning. I was trying to define it as a.
Yeah, here, I see it being just a cross
Generational
generational liaison.
Yeah, intergenerational learning, yeah,
So
something like
is
that.
that part of recreation program,
It's part of,
You-
it's part of the
I
short.
mean, if somebody wanted to talk to someone on the commission, would it make sense for them to reach out to the recreation program review of this? Or do we want to call it recreation
No, it's
program?
probably specific to its own thing.
Okay, so what we'd like to call this,
Intergenerational.
Cross-generational sounded very good.
intergeneration, cross-generation.
I don't know.
Intercross. There is more progress. Intergenerational.
Okay, that's mispronounced.
Well, something that was in the master plan was making Palo Alto an age-friendly city, and I think that had other requirements. I don't know. I don't think that was ever implemented, but that could be something that was eventually worked into life.
Yeah.
That could be part of the master plan review with essentially, yeah.
Who relates that, so.
So intergeneration.
So, call it
generation is something
age-friendly.
else.
Age-friendly city is what is in
Age-friendly.
the master plan, let's leave it, that's what's in the master.
All right, so age-friendly cities,
Yeah,
the hyphen there,
sure.
why not?
City, this one,
Just a. It's not regional,
could be.
okay,
Since we're making some of our priorities focused on inclusion, equity, I'm thinking maybe it could be something that covers that because it's inclusive of all, not just generations, but also inclusive of,
Ethnicities, yeah, yeah.
besides ethnicity, I'm even considering more people who are cognitive or physically challenged. So
friendly city,
not just age, but maybe something that covers equity, access, diversity and inclusion.
When the council adopted that, this is a couple of years ago, I think it was a measurement stick for every single committee, every single ad hoc, every single everything. So it's almost
Right.
implicit in how you think about and talk about the different ad hocs. Does that make sense? So rather than having a specific thing or person to deal with that, it should be something that every ad hoc and every liaison and the commission thinks about on a regular basis. And I think that was the
It's an
intent.
underlying thing, but I think the liaison needs somebody to talk to.
Yeah,
Now, if you found a group that felt like they weren't being heard, I'm sure that it's okay, but this was really the youth. And we were, just thinking of expanding that to seniors, but it could be other, all
I think
ages.
it has to be inclusive of everyone, not just age. Defined.
But which groups do you talk to?
so I'm gonna suggest, we need to get moving with our
Okay.
assignments, I suggest we can adjust the name and we'll just liaison, at a later date. Okay. Let's let's work on it, so let's review the liaison roles real quickly, and then we'll go assign our ad hocs and liaisons. Age-friendly city, we have aquatics, if any of these you think should be two people, I can put a number here, like Valence could be two.
Age-friendly city probably should be two. Foothills, if, since there's projects coming, should be two.
Funding partners, golf, Hawthorns, PSD, park amenities, more than one person. And rocket sports, you want to? Skate park too? One.
That's those two last ones.
No, well,
Was it?
There was-
it
No.
was joint.
I'll put one, two.
One. Oh, we're gonna put that.
Good one,
Wow.
okay. Okay. I'll find out who's interested in what. I'm just gonna put X marks, or some sort of marks next to names. To indicate what you're interested in. Why don't we start with just going around the room and talk about what you're interested in. We'll start with Bing, you're new.
Yeah, I'd be interested in the master plan review. I can learn a lot from you guys,
Okay,
understanding the big picture.
and so what Why doesn't everyone select at least two and eventually three
Kind about ad hocs or?
ad hocs, yes.
How many ad hoc per commissioner normally sits on, 1 or 2?
2 or 3.
Two or three?
So we have 7 ad hocs. If there were 3 people on each ad hoc, that would be 3 ad hocs per person.
Yeah, it would be interesting in the recreation program review as well.
Okay, and so those are mutually exclusive.
So you cannot be on both, right?
That's right.
That's a blind. Yeah, okay, I'll just focus on the master plan review and the grant.
And took both so that we
Yeah.
can see who can
Yeah.
do.
So another ad hoc you're interested in, or we can get back to you.
Yeah, the grant opportunity, yeah, might be able to help
We
out.
grant opportunity.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's it, yeah.
Joy?
I'm interested in the wellness center and gym. And the master plan review.
And anything else?
Maybe still the grant opportunities as well.
Johnny?
So the master plan review. And continue on the e-bikes because, just up to at this point, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Highlights.
I don't actually look forward to it, but we've been put so much time into it already. That's it for me, although if there is no one else who wants to work on public education, I'm willing to take it, but not eagerly.
Long as you have an assistant.
No.
It shouldn't be too much work, though, I hope.
And which one?
Part dedication, because I'm already on it.
Yeah, Nellis?
Okay, I want to keep Commissioner Kleinhoff on it, so I'll stay on the electric conveyance policy. And the record court policy, what's still that good?
That's gonna be a liaison.
Oh, that's right, okay, yeah. Good. Then I should say, I do want to stay on the wellness committee, but I'm also going to say that I've also formed Jeff and others that I'm looking at resigning from the board of the wellness center, so, but I do want to stay on the wellness center, that's that, yeah.
And playing fields?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And
Playing fields?
anything else?
No, this one.
So you don't want to be part of the wellness center?
Well, I think I would rather wait and hear how it works itself out. And I think it.
I know there's, you're talking about issues in terms of being on the board.
I'm talking about the way the whole thing fell out or. And so I just would like to maybe give it some time.
Okay. Another ad hoc you'd like to participate with?
So you have the playing field one, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the only thing that's really open is the e-bike and you don't want to be on that one.
Grant opportunities? Grant opportunities?
Yeah.
Yeah. Andy?
That's just my hand, there was, I mean, or I'm happy doing the recreation program.
We're talking, we're wasting, we're
be doing any of them except the law. Not because I don't want, you want that one, it's just like conflict, but I don't.
Yes. And I'm interested in master plan review, park dedication, and planning fields.
What are you doing, Jim? Oh, sorry.
I said I'm interested in master plan, park dedication, and playing fields. So we have plenty of coverage on the master plan,
Let's step down.
uh,
Yeah.
but you can step down and onto the recreation program review.
Yeah, that's fine.
We have 4 people on master plan. We have 2 on e-bikes. We have 2 on e-bikes, 3 on grant opportunities, 1+ on park dedication. 2 on wellness center. 3 on playing fields and some fallout number on recreation program. Any other interest from anyone to join e-bikes or park dedication or wellness center gym? And you're waiting in the wings to something else, I guess. But
I'm happy to park dedication. Get time.
okay,
That's Jeff and you, but if you want me to be on there.
on the master plan review, I think I would recommend that the more senior members get priority on that initially, because I think it's gonna would be a lot, would be more to come up to speed with, but I would recommend that if you're okay with it, we move you to the recreation program review, which will be directly associated with it.
Sure.
So we have 3 for master plan review, we have 2 for e-bikes. We have 3, so we're fine on master plan. Well, not really be happy for, but grant opportunities are fine. Park dedication with 2 is fine. Playing fields is more than fine. Rec program review, so. I'm gonna take you off, Mandy, off of that since you're on master plan. Would anybody else like to or join the rec program review? Or I think 2 people, I think it's fine with 2 people right now, at least since it's the definition is. Gonna be in a further definition as we move forward. Excuse me,
Yeah, I'll.
so you're on 3 already.
Oh, okay,
You
that's what I was
can go on 4.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Would anybody else like to join e-bikes?
Not really e-bikes anymore, just
No, sorry,
bikes.
yeah, it's bicycle. Yeah, so if we say bicycle, does that include e-bikes?
I think so, no.
So if we say bicycle access policy, does that,
You can leave it as is.
I think you leave it as e-bike because
you want to say bicycle / e-bike?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would just make sure e-bike is in there somewhere.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's not leave the e-bike.
Or inconveniences. Because
Put it in there.
there's so many different
Hovercraft.
here.
I love the way it rolls off the tongue.
Where's the AI one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we have two on e-bikes. Would anybody else like to join e-bikes? Bicycles. E-bike. Would anybody else like to join the wellness center and gym? We can go with these assignments for the time being, and look to update them further. We have time after we do liaison assignments, we can revisit that. Okay, liaison assignments. Who's interested in a age-friendly city? And if multiple people, we can have two people on this, on liaison assignments as appropriate. If someone is voicing interest in a liaison role, if you would like, feel free to voice interest right now. This is the first round.
I'm interested, but I think I'm needed on other things more.
Okay. Aquatics. Everyone always looks at.
Yes. I do have a very nice message from Tim Sheeper about aquatics in the pool, so.
Let's go golfing first.
Okay, I'm just going down.
Okay.
Yeah, Baylands.
Me and maybe.
What does Bayland involve?
So Baylands would include.
Because I love that. I still go there a lot.
So it's as envisioned, it's more of a environmental related role of the Baylands. So we'll, being a liaison to the commission regarding the piling repair project, the entrance gate replacement project, finishing out the DCCP, tight gate, the Baylands tight gate replacement project, golf course mitigation.
Yeah.
I'm good with them.
I'm interested if someone wants to develop or something like that. I'm okay to, with that. I want you on it. I think it would be fine. Community gardens. Get to work with Javaz.
I love this. But I can't. I have to be careful what I take on this time.
I will do it.
Mandy, great. Coverly.
I'll take.
There room for two people to come on? I would do that.
Dog parks.
I would do that too.
Totally do golf parks again, but I'm happy to.
Well, I would do it. I would share it.
Yeah.
Can you look into doing shared time like they do at Cuesta Park in Mountain View and other places like that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, dog parks was one.
Thought it was Crimson Brown.
Sounds like a TV show.
Could be.
Detective.
Foothills.
And you, I think, and you.
Sorry, quick question. Who will be the city staff for each family? Or is that what we're calling it or?
Age friendly, I don't know, Karen.
Just thinking,
Adam?
perhaps Minka, and someone from rec. Probably Adam.
Yeah.
He's closest with the youth, and Minka more with seniors.
We'll fill that in. Funding partners. This is liaison to follow the recreation
I would
foundation.
do that.
Golf first tee. Hawthorns.
Jeff,
Yeah.
oh,
Should be the president parks too.
It is, but I don't think good chance. That's like golf funding partner.
Okay.
We used to have a separate one, liaison called outreach.
for Hawthorns,
Yes.
is it okay for you to talk to me? Because in my professional side, I've advocated on that. And so the others of my environmental groups that I work with, so I'd like to be able to talk to you about it, but not through this. I don't want to be on the liaison.
Anyone can talk to any liaison on anything, you know, as long as it's a, you know, violating product.
I can send you some of our letters if you're
Absolutely.
interested.
Like your input. PASD city schools liaison. Someone to monitor the monthly joint meetings.
So, the question, other cities use school grounds for sports fields and other, and we don't really, and in some cities, it's been replaced with parkland, and now they're having problems because of that.
So we need to get these assigned. Sorry. Sorry?
I'm on two, right? Yes.
Yeah. Bing looks like to be the city schools liaison.
What that entail?
Entails attending a monthly meeting, looks like at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, usually at
The school district.
the school district or city hall.
Is that just listening or?
Just listening, it's just listening and reporting back to the commission, anything that's.
Yeah, that's fine.
Park amenities.
Yeah.
My hand is up.
I'm already on that.
Yeah, Rocket sports.
Oh, you have to go right.
You want on that?
Yeah.
Yep. Safe routes. I will do that if no one else wants it. Sold. Skate park. That you and your thing skate park?
No.
The auctioneer saw the hang.
No, that's what I thought. So I don't know, I mean, it's a great group to work with. Would somebody else like to do that? I mean, they're very fun, right, Aaron?
Oops.
Okay, let's leave you there.
Who would ever say it? Skaters weren't fun. Sustainability.
What does that entail?
I'm not sure.
Volunteer and find them.
I was trying to probe in that direction. I don't feel like I was successful in my probe.
I think it would go, I mean, go to the SCOT meetings and see whether there is any like things that they're doing that is relevant to the. And the other way around. Right?
I'm interested just because of the,
Yeah.
don't put in my name yet.
Yeah, I discussed.
I'm interested because it's part of what I do and what I love to do.
Please develop the role.
Okay, yeah, okay. If it's to develop, then I'm fine.
Urban forestry. I will take. Anybody want to join me or not?
If you feel that you need another person, I'll do it, but I'm getting to where I can't really.
Youth council.
I like youth council. I don't know how. I don't know if we plan to merge.
What's the
If it
difference
age
between?
friendly.
No.
Yeah,
It
so,
should be
yeah,
by its own self.
I was asking the same question. So youth council, age friendly versus school district. Are these three has some, well, especially youth council and the school district, are they related or no? Right,
I think the youth council is a different.
so youth council's its own, the Coverly Center, is it a team council in the Coverly
Yes.
Center? Oh, that's the same.
And you want to describe the youth
I'm
council?
interested
Yes,
in the youth.
The youth council is a group of representation from all the high schools in the area, and this year there was a great group. They increased their diversity from different schools and all of that. They've done programs for teens in the area, from mental health to stress to meet your city council and all that. It's a really fun group, and it's a really fun liaison to do. Go to the meetings every so often, and they ask you questions and you share stuff with them.
Can I do the youth council instead of the school district?
Instead of what?
The school district,
You can do both. You could do both.
you might having the because
I mean, I'm thinking.
I'm volunteer teaching high schoolers, so it's sort of more teaching poetry reading for high schoolers. So
And they're
it's,
great.
yeah, more relevant to just consolidate what I'm doing.
Thank you.
So I thought age-friendly city and this council is kind of together, but.
The liaison roles, in many cases, are there to develop and as the liaison. Proceeds, all right, so we have. Mandy with 3 and. Leading the pack with 6.
But I didn't take the youth. None of us are now.
Nellis has 4.
I'll take that.
4.
I'm interested in the yoga because I would like to merge it.
Yeah.
I think, Tide.
Yeah, that's true.
To
That's a,
integrate it.
yeah, there's a certain, yeah,
Mentorship.
yeah,
and
that's right, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
peaceful
I
meeting.
agree.
Okay.
So is this like a yearly commitment
Oh.
or levy amendments? Because I don't know yet, it's the balance issue, that's why I'm not looking too many.
So Nellis
I cannot
Nellis just
deliver.
offered to
I
take.
took the, I took the,
Thank
80.
I took the offer.
Okay, I
Okay,
don't want to promise, cannot deliver, that's really bad, and the promise over delivers better.
okay.
Okay.
Shawnee, you have 2 assignments. You want another one?
I'm somewhat interested in the user people wanting to work with the others, but I also, I'm getting to where, my time is.
And, okay, bear in mind, the liaison assignments, we can change.
Can you send those around so we don't forget what we do?
Of course. Okay, we need to move forward with some actions. I guess we can have a single action to approve all of the ad hoc and liaison assignments. There's another view of the ad hoc assignments. Also an opportunity to change any of the ad hoc names. So we have. Is there anything anyone can't see and does anyone have any questions about this? Liaison. Would anyone, barring any further discussion, would anyone care to make a motion to approve these assignments, but establish these ad hocs and liaison roles and approve these assignments? Actually, yeah.
So moved.
Commissioner Cripps, thank you. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Would you like we get a roll call vote, please?
Chair Greenfield,
Yes.
Vice Chair Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Cripps.
Yes.
Commissioner Freeman,
Yes,
Commissioner Kleinhaus,
Yes,
Commissioner Oche,
Yes, please.
and Commissioner Way.
Yes,
Chair, that's a 7-0 vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. We are nearing the end of our meeting. We're not going to get to our work plan item. Each of the ad hocs should be planning to meet between now and our May meeting on multiple occasions as necessary to bring a draft work plan ready to approve at the next meeting. Go ahead.
I'm gonna have to do that. That's really.
Let's do good, yeah. So as soon as they're ready, we can get them posted, added to the website, the listing that they want to do.
when is our next meeting?
There's a cancellation.
Oh, yeah.
It's Wednesday, the 24th. Wednesday, 24th. 12 days from now.
Oh,
Schwab, would you email the latest draft of the
Really,
work plan so that people can put it right into the work plan? When each ad hoc finishes, it, they can email it to
So
staff.
the e-bikes and bikes.
We'll compile and have it ready for the meeting.
Or, I mean, I can look at what the city said. and
That
work
word
on that.
document. that you-
But do we get to
Yeah,
expand
there.
it? how we want
Yeah.
to, or just-
But we can request anything we want. If the city will approve it, or the city council has the option to approve it, we can ask for whatever we want. We should ask for something that we think is useful and follows meets the criteria, so some of the guidelines and master plan that we reviewed today. We shouldn't request something that we don't think city council would be consistent with what they're looking for us to do.
Mhm.
Be reasonable. Any commissioner, board member questions, comments, announcements?
Just to tack on to that, I don't know, I was mainly speaking to staff, and let me reiterate, the game plan would be, staff will email out the current draft of the template for the work plan. Each ad hoc will write in their work plan item and email it to staff. Since we're meeting on the 24th and the agenda has to be posted 1 week before, we would aim for the 17th to have those all submitted. I realize that's a really fast turnaround. If we need to allow more time, we can discuss that. Now's the right time to come to such a determination, though.
I think that ad hocs can make a best effort to get the draft work plan submission into you by the 17th. Given the number of ad hocs that you're going to have to meet, and I don't think it's realistic that we can do all this. We're on a very compressed timeline, which is not of our choosing.
Yeah.
And we're doing the best we can.
And the ad hocs could always continue to meet and have edits ready to go live on the 24th, perhaps.
Yeah, I think the ad hoc should definitely make sure that they're forwarding staff the latest, their final version before the meeting, even if they were to forward staff one version and made edits later on, that should be. We want that in our working document to optimize the meeting. So that we're starting off from the most advanced point possible on each of the work plan
That
items.
makes sense.
We know it's gonna be a difficult, bit of a grind meeting, like getting through it.
So stuff doesn't need to be in those meetings that we decide on the work plan.
It's up to the ad hoc to decide whether to include staff, and I say, I would suggest if an ad hoc is choosing to meet without staff, to let your liaison know that you're planning to do that. Your staff liaison.
Can we aim for 1 PM on May 17th as the time frame? We'll give staff enough time to pull it all together and post. Sure, you're right. I realize it's not a lot of time. I apologize.
What's happening is, one, you can, 7 draft.
That's,
The goal.
if you want your draft included in the initial packet. Then we'll look to update the packet as needed. Peter and Lon, thank you for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to share or comment? Appreciate you being here. Worst places to be, I guess. Any other comments or announcements? Well, thank you, everyone. This is a great start to our session for the fiscal year. I think we made some good progress on the adapting our priorities. It's appropriately. There's a lot of good new energy, new enthusiasm, embracing the projects, the tasks we have ahead of us. It's going to be an interesting year, especially with what we uncover with the work plan, and we can see what direction we go with that.
I think we should all have a little plant next to our name. It's a square. No, for the year.
Let it grow full.
If you want to make it around, that's another option. I like that. Yeah.
I was maybe a square plant in a round planter. Thank you, I'm gonna call.